Hey guys, today I want to show you what are the 10 shortest JRPGs I've ever finished. However, I feel it's pointless to include games from the 16-bit era and below, since a lot of them were very short. Therefore, it makes more sense to include only JRPGs from the 32-bit era and onward. So let's begin. Number 10. Summon Night Soulcraft Story. I just talked about some of these games in recent videos, so I'll be quick. This is a spin-off of the Summon Night series, all strategy RPGs. You control either a guy or a girl, no, not silent, they have personalities, and a spirit summon that will aid you in battle. These are played in 2D, like in the very first Tales games actually. Slow controls, but you'll get used to them. A very fun adventure about a tournament for weapon forgers and blacksmiths. Excellent soundtrack as well. Anyway, according to my file in the GBA, this is the only game in the list that exceeds the 10-hour mark for a little bit, but maybe I probably did some grinding or something to extend it for half an hour. There's a sequel to it, but I haven't finished it, so I don't know if it's longer. This one, however, it's definitely recommended. Number 9. Dragon's Crown. No need to elaborate on this quest-driven RPG on PS3, PS Vita and PS4. You know it's inspired by Shadow over Mystara on the arcade, just in the form of an action RPG. Dragon's Crown is a must-play on any system whatsoever. I beat it on both the PS3 and 4 with the elf, well, the archer, and in both times I did less than 10 hours. I actually streamed the whole PS4 version of this game live on this channel, and it's public in case you wanna watch it. In there you'll see it only took me less than 10 hours to complete. Of course, I'm only sharing how much playtime I did for the main story on every game in this list. Include side quests, do everything and play on the hardest difficulties, and you might as well double it. But yeah, the main story in this game is very short. Number 8. Lost Kingdoms. An overlooked gem exclusive to the GameCube. It's an action RPG, but one where you'll control Princess Katia and her summons. It's an interesting premise, alright, with a solid story about Katia trying to save her kingdom from a dangerous fog phenomenon. You will visit a short amount of different areas with random encounters to engage in battle. You'll have to decide which monsters to summon and when to aid you. Katia can fight too, but it's always best to focus on your creatures. These are bound in cards, of course, and the game revolves around collecting them and fusing them. Now, Lost Kingdoms can be surprisingly short depending on how good you play and how you manage your cards. It's kinda tricky as the game gets harder the more you advance, which means the average time might vary. I'd say 10 hours will be the maximum amount, but I've seen others beat it in much less than that. So yes, indeed, it is quite the fleeting adventure, but trust me, it's totally worth it. There's also a second game on the GameCube, but, well, ironically it's more expensive and not so good. Number 7. Rhapsody, a musical adventure. This game was released on PS1, later remade on the Nintendo DS. The PS1 version got remastered a few months ago on the Switch with Lapusel tactics. And let me tell you right away, it looks beautiful on the Switch. You play as Cornet in a quest to rescue her dream prince from an evil sexy witch that turned him into stone. Lovely music, gorgeous pixel art and combat that's turn-based but played on grids. I still can't decide if it could be also considered as a strategy RPG, but it just definitely doesn't feel like one, so nah. You will control Cornet and a few of her puppets. These are magical creatures, some of them will join you automatically while others need to be found. Kururu, the main puppet and Cornet's best friend, isn't playable in this version, only on the DS release. Anyway, this is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I do recommend it as it's very easy but very worth playing. I don't remember how much time I did on the PS1 when I first beat it many years ago, but 8.5 hours on the Switch is what took me recently. Number 6. Parasite Eve. Another extremely popular and giant cult classic on the PlayStation. Because it mixed survival horror with RPG, perhaps Squaresoft feared a 20-hour long adventure will be too much back then. It's actually one of the shortest games in this video, literally speaking, as it barely has any side content. So you'll be playing the main story no matter what most of the time. And speaking about time, I did 9 hours. Most people I've met did the same, perhaps a little bit more. I don't remember there being an easy mode here, so for me 9 hours was fairly short. Anyway, you probably already knew you need to play this masterpiece, just like you probably already know you need to play the next one. Number 5 is The Oath in Felghana. Most of the older Ys games before Ys 7 on the PSP were fairly short. I chose Volcano since it's a full and overly fantastic remake of the original Ys 3. And just like those 8 and 16-bit versions, it is brutally hard. Nonetheless, I think everybody should play it because it has several difficulty settings, including easy and very easy. Do not be afraid to play this game on easy, as even on that mode, it can be quite the challenge. It took me 7 hours to beat this game with some grinding here and there. If you played on normal or hard, it might be slightly longer depending on how good you are at action RPGs. No matter what though, this is an excellent game. And since we're speaking of the older Ys games being short... So number 4 is 1 and 2 Chronicles. These two are remakes of the original Ys games that came out in the 80s for computer systems, but I believe they're based on the first remakes released on the TurboGrafx 16 in the early 90s. Yeah, a remake based on a remake, I know. They are the very first Ys games ever made, the ones where you bump into enemies instead of hacking slashing them. One is a straight up sequel to the other, so there's no point in starting with the second. It's okay though, since both are extremely short, man. We're talking about 5 hours tops for the first one if you stick to the main story. Not that there's much else to do in them anyway. Second one is 7 hours max, so there you go. 2 highly recommended games that you can beat in a few sittings, wherever you are. Muramasa the Demon Blade. An excellent and beautiful action RPG on both the Wii and the PS Vita that I've covered quite recently. So in this 2D side-scrolling action RPG, you can play as 2 characters, each with their own different route, story and bosses. I only beat it with Momohime, the girl, on normal mode, since there's only normal or hard here. It took me a little bit over 5 hours to complete. My guess is the other route is just as short, though I did feel it was a little harder. Anyway, this is a must-play, guys, one of Vanillaware's masterpieces, and for 5 hours of your time, not sure what the hell you're waiting for. Number 2, yeah, more PSP games. This is Gikandia the Timeless Land. Gikandia is an extremely silly but highly addictive RPG that you can also beat in a couple of sessions. It's a 2D action RPG with 8-bit graphics released on the PSP. Basically, you play as a character that needs to go around these bizarre magical places to find all the missing students. It's a game that doesn't take itself seriously at all and makes puns about everything all the time. Controls are fast-paced and you need to complete every stage as quick as you can since there's a timer. It plays around with it since there's a lot of secret areas, items and treasures, seeing how every stage is randomly generated. At the end of every run you'll face a boss and for some reason it feels very rewarding to kill them. After that you'll go back to town where you'll get dialogue, more allies if you rescued them, you got your shops, your accessory customization, etc. Give this one a try if you can, it's very cheap, pretty fun, and not even 5 hours long. Hell, if you know what you're doing, you can even speedrun it and beat it in less than 3. Number 1. HalfMinute Hero. This is the shortest of them all. Even if you've no idea what you're doing, you'll still beat it in less than 5 hours. I beat 3.5 on normal difficulty and I don't regret a single minute, or half a minute. This is a game where you'll only have 30 seconds to beat every stage, but of course, that timer can be refilled with money. Just grind a lot to gain levels and enough money to reset the timer and get the best equipment. Trust me, doing that will make you destroy every boss in probably 2 or 3 seconds. It's a pretty dumb game, I know, but it's super addictive. It also came out on PC, and while I haven't played that version, I know someone who beat it in 4 hours. There are also other short adventures with different characters, each a standalone game, but I haven't beaten any of those. This game got a remake on the Xbox 360, but I don't know if it's just as short. Either way, I strongly recommend this PSP version since it's very, very fun. Alright, so those are the shortest JRPGs I've ever beaten in my life. Did I cheat by including remakes of 8-bit JRPGs like the Ys games? Maybe, but if that's the case, we could maybe replace them by adding Ys Origin and Arc the Lad, both a little bit above 10 hours long as honorable mentions. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!